Okay, so let us see to it that when we do facilitate our classes virtually, that it should have an embedded devices. Okay, ipapakita ko ang mga ito mamaya, and then it should have generous layouts. For our correspondence-based learners, okay, yung mga pinagpapadalhan natin ang ating mga modules at sa ating gumagawa ng mga modules, importante po na alam natin ang difference ng learning modules and textbooks. Okay, baka iniisip ninyo dahil virtual class tayo, hindi po tayo gagamit ng module. Hindi po. Ang natutunan ko po sa UPOU, kahit distance learning yan, online learning yan, modular pa rin po. Okay, kasi ang module is self-instructional text. Your students is from a distance and you are not with them physically. So which means even your virtual classroom should be presented in module form. That's why all of my classes in UPO are actually in module format. Meron kasing misconception na ang module ay yung magpapadala ka ng print material to the student. Okay na po. So, sige, let's continue. So, importante po na ang ating mga virtual classes ay divided din according to units or modules, in that these are arranged according to our instructional designs. We should, of course, provide still our students on some tips on how they should accomplish their tasks in our virtual classes. We should provide them diagrams in numerous activities. Okay, so yan, ito po yung mga dapat na gagawin pa rin natin in our virtual classes, online classes, feedbacks, and then because there is power in words, ika nga, when we deliver in our virtual classes, even in developing our instructional materials like our learning modules, that we should always make use of the second person, first person, okay, to give directions, and the voice should be in active voice. Para nang sa ganun, alam ng estudyante na you are referring to him as an individual learner or to her as an individual learner. There should also be an opportunity for reflections and others. Our Christian formation courses here in our university, halos ang activities ng mga bata are reflection activities. Okay, so we can adapt or develop some materials. We can learn from other materials. Of course, if you are going to adapt an existing LMS material, medyo madali para sa iyo, kaso because it's not your own material, it will be very difficult for you to have an understanding of it, kasi parang implement mo lang pero hindi mo lang talaga din alam kung ano ang mga ito. So it's not really contextualized according to your classes. So adapting means we already have some of our materials. Okay, for some existing materials that we already have, what we will do is just to have it be organized in our virtual classes, in our online classes. So I'm going to show that also later. So I'm going to show you all of this mamaya po. Okay. Sabi nga dito, if we have already existing materials, then we can just, of course, reconfigure it and then have it be presented that's usable or useful for a virtual class or for distance learning. Lalagyan natin ng course overview, course guide, study schedule, assessment guides, dahil importante po ang mga ito. Ang mga textbook, hindi nila feature ang mga ito. These are not some of the elements that we can read from a textbook. So that's why nga sabi ko sa inyo, hindi pwedeng in-upload mo lang yung textbook doon sa inyong LMS at yun na yun, hindi po tama yun. Okay, it's not acceptable as an approach po in distance learning, particularly in online learning. So these are some of the things that must be included in our learning management system. assessment materials, nagli-link din tayo, okay, na may mga summaries, and we should still have audio-video recordings included in our LMS and some interactive multimedia presentation. But if you are not using a virtual classroom, an LMS, then that should be, as I said, be sent to your students. And these are supposed to be saved in a USB. Kasi USB-based tayo ngayon. Hindi na tayo cassette tapes or CD or DVD. Okay, so of course, it's always still very important that we observe copyright laws when using all of these materials. Let us cite our sources, okay, for educational purposes. Okay, so when we develop materials, let us see to it that we will have a description of what is the first part. Sabi ko nga sa inyo, importante po na klaro po, engage natin. Regardless of whether it's a print material or an audio material, kailangan pa rin may sinusundang istorya, kwento, story pitch, okay, storyboard. At sa ating paggawa ng mga materials, we can always start with engaging. Okay, to engage them is to cite to them the relevance, the importance, or to state the rationale of the lesson or presentation until you're going to reach at least an evaluation. So that will be at the end. Okay, so let's try to open all of this later. So when we do lay out our online distance learning materials, it should be well organized. I'm referring, because we're talking about online, I'm referring to your virtual classroom. Okay, so ipapakita natin yung mga ginawa ko in my class. And when we're going to order it, let us see to it na hindi yung nagbigay ka ng tasks na ang hirap-hirap naman, because still we're going to follow all of these basic principles, okay? From simple to complex, what is known to unknown. So module 1 hanggang sa last module. Okay? So kailangang may order. Tapos yung ating virtual classrooms din, or ang ating mga printed modules, may mga schedule. Sabi ko nga sa inyo, pacing is very important. So we need to release our materials on time. Events are supposed to be at fixed times also. And we should always see to it that it always has a deadline. Hindi pwedeng walang deadline. Okay? Mag-deadline tayo. Dahil kung wala kang deadline, hindi mag-guide ang mga estudyante, and proactive interventions. According to LIM, pacing will lead to higher completion rates. So it's very important that our materials, virtually or not virtually, should have guides to orient our students in order for them to succeed. What are those that they need to do? So course guides are very important. Our course guides can be in printed form if we would like it to be in that form, or it can be a presentation. So i-video mo ang sarili mo para sabihin sa kanila kung ano ang inaasahan mo sa klase, or you can upload it in a web site. Okay? Or you can just upload it in your learning management system. Ang course guide, okay? Ang pinakauna dapat lagi na nababasa ng isang estudyante enrolled in a class, I'd like to benchmark from all my professors na sa UP, laging ang una nilang ibinibigay ay overview of the course, okay, na laman ng course guide, yung aims and targets of the course, yung mga prerequisite and requisite knowledge, yung mga list of contents. Parang syllabus din lang naman siya, ita-translate mo lang sa course guide. Ang syllabus kasi, that's the plan of the teacher. Okay? But a course guide is something that the students will read with all other elements na hindi wala sa ating course syllabus. The explanation of the structure of the course, hindi ganito yung format ng syllabus. Okay? The guides on how to use the various material components, and then a study schedule and a support system. Okay, so an explanation also of the assignment guides. So these are the strategies, formative and summative assessments, description of all of this, is study skills and advice. In your contact information, just in case, okay, some of them will not be able to attend synchronously. Assignment guides, these are the tasks. Ito yung mga graded activities. Ang mga hindi nagpo-post ng kung ano ang klarong output, ano ang rational ng assignment, naku, hindi na-appreciate ng mga estudyante ang assignment. How will the assignment be done? It should be very clear. What materials will be used? How will the output be evaluated? So rubric. And then how will the output be submitted? Importante po na may guideline tayo. We have a lot of students, akala nila na-submit nila, yun naman pala, hindi nila na-submit because they did not click, okay, the button that should be clicked to finalize the submission. So even some of our professors, mga lawyers and judges nga in the graduate school, kasi we have some subjects nga in the graduate school na kailangan ituro ng isang attorney, ganyan, mga legal foundations of education. Hindi, sabi nung isang VA, magaling ito na lawyer, VPAA ko po siya in one of the universities before where I taught. Kaya in-invite ko siya, sabi niya, "Ma'am, na-submit ko na po." Hindi pala niya na-turn in, okay? So, na-click niya yung mga buttons, pero yung pinakahuli na submission bin tab, hindi niya na-click, okay? So, ito yung mga kailangan klaro yan to our students, especially sa grad school. Iba-iba ang profile niyan. Ang magkakaklase, iba-iba ang edad, di ba? Diverse learners talaga sila in the graduate school. So, kailangan may screenshot ba, okay? Ma'am Telma, 'di ba sa PAF10, ako, Diyos ko, ako kasi ang chair ng technical panel. In-screenshot mo na nga yung step by step na procedure on how to join the Microsoft team, okay? Conference room, hindi pa rin nila masundan. Pati yung pagbayad nila using DragonPay, hindi pa rin nila masundan. Nakalagay naman doon na after paying it to other channels, ibalik sa DragonPay yung bayad. Ay nako, ito yung mga kailangang ewan ko how to improve it. But maybe in the process matututunan pa rin nila. So many of our members po in PAFTE, they are afraid na mag-register online virtually kasi nga ewan ko ba, it's really very easy for them siguro to do manually, but we know we need to embrace change. So yan, how will the output be submitted? So assignment guide, so parang lang yan, kailangan ng sobrang step by step, okay, na presentation to our learners, okay? So let us structure our course site or our print modules using different visual icons because our learners are visual learners. Sabi ko nga kanina, kung doon sa PAFTE, liban pa sa for word form siya, i-screenshot mo pa. Pero naka-word form na nga, naka-pa, so kailangan pa rin maglagay ka doon, contact ng mga senior citizens na members or mga graduate school na students na nasa malapit ng mag-senior, even young people, hindi pa rin mateki ang mga iba. Okay, so ang ating self-instructional text, tingnan natin na tama ang ating typography and layout. Ang mga illustrations, kailangan maayos. Kailangan may mga access devices. So,